at the moment, and it's fun as always. However, self-isolation also lets us get working on things that are kind of useful, like compound turbo systems.
With diesel power.
And this is something that I've been working on for a long time on the drift car, but it's finally beginning to come to fruition. And basically it's like the 535D system, where you have your 6 cylinders into one turbo, through that turbo into your other turbo, and out your exhaust. And the intake then is fresh air in here, pressurized into this one, and double pressurized out. At the moment, the next thing I'm working on is I have to add a wastegate. And because this is a divided exhaust manifold, it's a little bit more complex. So I've been making up a part that fits just about into that. And so the next thing then I'm going to do is, there's a wastegate somewhere here. Aha. Okay. Wastegate. Wastegate should go somewhere like that, I think. So that off there, V-band, and maybe, it's very hard to do here with one hand, but basically that like that, into this. Wastegate sits there, another like 45 straight into that and into there. And that basically creates a little bit of pressure relief when this becomes a choke at, we'd say, high revs, because it is too small, but it is absolutely perfect, especially on the air side, because this runs out of puff at around 3000 RPM. If the air is pre-compressed going in, then it actually extends its efficiency range, and it'll make it pretty perfect. The turbo, let's see, can you see? It's off John Deere 7530, so it's a massive turbo. It's probably one of the biggest variable geometry turbos going, and like it just about fits into the engine bay. Like with the suspension turret here, there's only about like 10 mil of clearance and 10 mil of clearance on the opposite side to the engine. It's tight, but it's going to work. The wastegate, precision wastegate, because they're really nice. And I have the same one on the Soarer below, so I'm going to keep it that way. Yeah, so I mean, like, this is progress all the same. Like at the moment, I am, after all the problems we had at the end of last year, I have binned the original Radiator, because yeah, they're fucked basically. That's another one. And I have gone to 100 mil core one from Jap Speed, and that, like, that's a substantial radiator, so that should hold a lot of fresh water. Obviously the turbo side of everything taken off here, so I can get some measurements, and like, yeah, it's tight there, and I have to do a little bit of tidying up here. I have to take that engine out, do another little bit of cleaning up, because that's still sharp. I only cut it there recently. It's a bit untidy, and then kind of like tidy up the entire engine bay and get all of that nice and pretty. Some spare turbos, and this is actually another project that's going on. It's a tractor that is getting a bit of a makeover. It is an International 1046, same as the 1246. Changed the back axle ratios in it, so it's a bit faster than the original 1046, and we're putting this monstrosity of an engine into it. This is the same engine as the Fendt 930, which is going to be absolutely massive. Like, that's a 10-ton tractor, and this is a 3.5-ton tractor. So it's going to be maybe 500 horsepower when I'm done with it. It's slightly older than the one in the Fendt, because it's a manual pump, but yeah, for this tractor it's going to be not too bad. The work that I've done so far on it is pretty concise. So I have because we have to adapt into the bell housing of that, we've had to make an adapter plate for the clutch, or for the flywheel. So that bolts on there, flywheel extends out. We have an adapter plate that I'm cutting at the minute, and then magically enough, the original flywheel actually bolts to the clutch system of that tractor. And in fact, it's the same clutch as the International 1455, which is a monstrosity of a clutch, and they can handle any amount of power. The other thing that we've got is a brand new intercooler, and the other one is somewhere. It's probably gone up in the attic. It's a little bit damaged. It got a belt at the end of last year as well. It didn't puncture, but it is very bent. So yeah, and then the other work in progress that I'm at the moment is the side skirts and the fiberglass bits on the soarer. I'm going to sand them all, redo them, and this one broke. So that's one of your back exhausts and your back bumper kind of bottom skirt. I have to just get them all redone and fiberglassed up again, back to normal. So I have them all taken off and get it back to its former glory. So that's the quarantine work at the moment. Let's see, is there anything else that you want me to see? To get this back to the turbo system, to continue with the turbo system, I am now waiting on a V-band connection for here and for here. And I haven't really decided on the pressure side what I'm going to do. I'm thinking about welding on an aluminium 90 onto here, and then just silicone joiner and silicone joiner. Not sure, haven't really thought that much ahead at the moment on that one. I don't like the angled silicone joiners because they have an awful tendency to burst. So straight ones, the least amount of silicone possible, and clamp on is where I can. Now this, let it be said, is actually quite low pressure. I'm only talking about 0.5 bar, and then this one amplifies that up to about 2.5 bar maybe, and that should be enough for maybe 500-600 horsepower there. There's a lot of control to be done here. I have to control that. I'm thinking I'm going to have to put a boost controller on this and control that from the same brain that controls this variable geometry system here, and also have a decision based on the output boost of this smaller turbo. So it's complex. But I think after maybe 1.5 bar, maybe 1.8 bar or so, maybe open this wastegate, because this turbo has boosted enough at that stage. Open this wastegate, help this one to start spooling, get this one start spooling up to about 0.5 bar, and that extra pressure on the inlet of this one will make this small turbo incredibly efficient, deliver massive amounts of air, enough to be absolutely unbelievable on track. And well, the Irish Drift Series, who knows? You know, are we even going to get out in 2020? Yeah, I don't know what else to say apart from places not being open to be able to buy stuff. You know, quarantine is okay for me, because I'm just getting stuff done, albeit a little bit unusual circumstances, and not being able to see anybody and so on. So yeah, yeah, it's fun as always.
With diesel power. Blows your mind track.